What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So we've seen this same scenario over and over again. You have someone who supported Trump, who voted for Trump, and now they are regretting their vote. And I'm going to show you guys this clip. This is of a business owner. So he owns a construction company. They're building new houses or new apartments. And he is very upset with the current situation when it comes to immigration. So we're going to take a look at the clip. We'll talk a little bit about it. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. If you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this clip. Now, this is in Texas. So that means something too, because we're going to have a real close race in Texas with Tallarico versus Cornyn or Paxton. And so when we're looking at these stories matter because you have people here, Trump supporters, that are now saying, you know what? I think I might have messed up. I think I might have voted for the wrong person. So let's go and take a look at this clip. Here we go.
I did vote for Mr. Trump. Deporting the criminals is a great policy. These foundations are poured, ready to go, and we can't even start the construction on them.
And you heard what he said. Deporting these criminals is, good policy. And you have some people out there that voted for Trump because of immigration, but their thought was it's going to be the criminals. They're going after the criminals. That's who they're going to be deporting. But we quickly found out that it wasn't just criminals. They were going after everyone, going on job sites where you have people working and deporting them. And so that's where you started to see some, a change when it comes to public sentiment and voter sentiment. They started to change because this is what the president was saying in his campaign speeches. We're going after the criminals. We're going after the criminals. But then you start seeing them going after people who are just hardworking people, chasing people down the street that are working in construction and chasing people out of car washes. And I mean, it was just, people started to see that and they said, you know what? This is too much. This is over the top. We didn't want this. We wanted them to go after the criminals.
We voted for the American dream, and unfortunately, right now, we're not seeing that.
For months, federal agents have been sweeping up workers at construction sites in South Texas.
ICE has raided us anywhere between 10 to 15 times throughout different subdivisions.
Now, work sites across the Rio Grande Valley have ground to a halt. And that's got some Trump supporters in this midterm battleground changing their minds.
These people would just show up to our job sites with no warrants, taking all our workers, even the workers with proper documentation.
Many who work in the construction industry...
And just think about that. They're taking everyone. So even if you have proper documentation, they were taking them. And so that slows down the work site. Now they don't have people working. And so these houses, it's going to, take longer for them to build these houses. And remember, when you're building houses like this is going to help the community. This brings down prices when it comes to the cost of buying a house or even rent, because if you have more available properties, then you have more people that can afford those properties. And if you have less apartments, if you have less houses, that means that the cost of those, the housing is going to go up. Supply and demand, it's simple.
Here told us they largely rely on immigrant workers, some of whom are undocumented. DHS did not respond to the Times request for comment. But in a previous statement, it said these raids protect the nation's workforce.
I've supported Mr. Trump in every election that he's been a part of. We just never thought that this would come and affect us in the construction industry, but most importantly, affect our economy here in South Texas.
We are seeing a reduction of almost 60% of our volume on the residential side of our business. We applied for bankruptcy in December.
We saw a drop in sales of about $5.3 million. For 40 years, we had never laid anybody off, and until this happened, we were forced to.
And beyond construction, local businesses say fear is keeping shoppers at home.
And there's been a lot of loss of sales because of that. It killed us this year.
And this is another important side of this whole situation. So let's say you're deporting a lot of these people who are working in these communities. Now, these same people that are working in these communities, they're not going to the local businesses that are in the community anymore because they've been deported. And so these local businesses are losing a lot of money.
Construction is one of the main pillars to the economy here. Everybody's hurting.
In the Rio Grande Valley, two of President Trump's top priorities, the economy and mass deportation, are colliding as ICE raids upend the construction industry. And at a parade along the U.S.-Mexico border, Democrats are trying to capitalize on voters' frustration.
The economic implications are huge. People who voted for Trump are no longer doing it because they can't afford to do it anymore.
For decades, the Rio Grande Valley, where more than 80% of the population is Latino, reliably voted for Democrats. Then in 2024, voters here swung further toward President Trump than almost anywhere else in the country.
I think Democrats stopped showing up here. They took this community for granted. And so when Republican politicians showed up and made big promises, people took a chance. A year later, we're seeing those promises weren't kept.
So we were going to build 196 apartments here in a year. But because of all the ICE raids and all the enforcements that we've been seeing, it's going to take us 3 years now to go ahead and finish this development.
Wow.
County property records show these slowdowns have spread throughout the industry as banks that lend to home builders report fewer transactions.
We were seeing certain banks that did that kind of lending suddenly have much slower activity. Those numbers were declining to about 30 to 40%. We weren't sure why exactly. And I started asking some of these lenders, what is going on? We found out that they were struggling to keep their people on the jobs because of ICE.
In February, Mario requested a meeting with ICE through his congressional representatives. He went to Washington, D.C. with a few other builders and pleaded with them to ease up on job sites in South Texas.
It basically told us that if a construction site is not fenced in, it's considered public property, and that's why they don't have to show a warrant. So we started fencing in all our properties.
He said that after the meeting, ICE activity at job sites did decline, but the damage had already been done.
I hope they realize that this is really, really affecting us, and it's affecting the way that we feel towards the administration.
And so that was an interesting story. And you see that this was a Trump supporter, and now he's saying this is impacting how I feel about the future when it comes to maybe voting for Republicans. And so we'll have to see what happens in the midterm election. And part of this, I mean, this is in Texas, so we'll have to see how that race turns out. But we're seeing stories just like this all over the U.S., where you have people that might have supported Trump that are saying, you know what, this is not working. This is not working, as well as just looking at the economy. So not even talking about immigration, but if we move into the economy is not doing well. People are still, the cost of products aren't going down. The food prices are still up there. We're looking at gas prices now are up there. We're looking at conflicts in other countries. We're spending a lot of money in other countries now where that was the promise of President Trump, that no new wars. We're not going to be spending a lot of money in all these different countries. We're going to resolve the conflict in Ukraine and all this stuff that was being promised. People are looking at it now and they're saying, look, you made all these promises and we haven't seen anything, and then tariffs, that's another thing. And the Supreme Court strikes that down. But what does the president do? He says, no, I'm going to go ahead and put out these temporary blanket tariffs across the world. And so this chaos right now, voters are watching this and they're thinking, what more is the president going to do? What more can the president do? When are we going to have Congress step in and say, you know what, you can't do that. You can't do this. And so we're going to have to see how this all turns out. And I think the midterm election is going to be a referendum on the president. And I think we're probably going to see some shifts. I think we're going to see some of these different politicians that have been in office for years, these different Republicans that have been in office for years. We're going to see some flips, and we could see a flip in Texas as a result of this. So I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.